Hello, I am Jinhoo from Reader to Share, and in today's video, we are going to discuss two sort of difficult topics, so you will just have to move on quick. The first concept we discuss is shortage and surplus. And shortage refers to a situation whenever the quantity demanded or the willingness to purchase of a certain price is bigger than the quantity supplied, the willingness to sell for a certain price. So it's just straightforward. The shortage is a situation in which people want to purchase more than actually what is being sold. And surplus is exactly the opposite. It refers to a situation in which the quantity supplied is bigger than the quantity demanded. So it is when people want to sell more than what people are actually willing to purchase for. So when this here is the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, usually in a graph, any price above the equilibrium price is going to result in a surplus, while any of the price below the equilibrium price will result in a shortage. Simple. And we are going to discuss about this concept after a few minutes about the effects of government intervention, so don't forget it. The next concept we have to discuss about is changes in market equilibrium. So when we talked about shortage and surplus, the equilibrium point didn't actually change. It means that that is just a disequilibrium, or what happened to the market, so that they are not purchasing and selling at a point not in the equilibrium, but that wasn't actually exactly the shift of the equilibrium, but this is talking about the shift of the equilibrium point. So it is very different from the disequilibrium that we talked about. So you have to keep that in mind. So what actually does change the market equilibrium? And the answer is shifts in demands or shift in supply cause it. Simple, isn't it? And to just think it in a logical manner, you have it'll be simple for you if you just draw the graph and check it out. An increase in demand will result to an increase in both price and quantity, as it says. Let's just see if we just increase. Oh my god, erase it. Try it again. If we increase the demand, yes, you can see that the equilibrium price and quantity both increased from before. And that is the exact opposite to a decrease. The price and quantity will both decrease, and to a supply, it is also a little bit different. An increase in supply will lead to a decrease in price, but also an increase in quantity. And it is the opposite for the opposite. A decrease in supply will lead to an increase in price, but a decrease in quantity. Simple, isn't it? So you don't really have to memorize all of these if you can just draw a graph and check out what happens to the price and quantity. And what you have to keep in mind is that there are also double shifts, not only single shifts of either supply or demand. And when double shifts happen, what is important is that either one type, price or quantity, remains indeterminate. And it is indeterminate because we actually do not know how much the supply shifted and how much the demand shifted. So in this video, we are not going to specifically discuss about double shifts. To understand double shifts better, it will be better for you just to draw it in the graph and check out what will be indeterminate and what will always increase or decrease, no matter the amount of the shift. All right, so that was a very quick explanation about market disequilibrium and the changes in equilibrium. So let's just move on to what is more important for my personal opinion, the effect of government intervention. The first concept is price ceilings. And price ceilings happen whenever the government thinks that the price, equilibrium price, is actually too high. So they just set a price ceiling and tell all the people inside the market, from now on, you cannot purchase or you cannot sell at a price higher than this price ceiling. But what matters is that any price ceiling that is above the equilibrium price will likely be non-binding, or in other words, it does not have any effect to the market. So, for example, if the price ceiling was actually at here, it will have no impact on the market because it is above the equilibrium price, which means that people, no matter what the price ceiling is, will just keep going on purchasing and selling at this point. So for a price ceiling to be binding or just causing impact to the market, the price ceiling should be below the equilibrium price. And price ceilings might help people, might help the consumers in a certain way because the prices are lower, but in usual economists, especially at AP Microeconomics, say the price ceilings cause debt weight loss and are harmful to the economy. Let's just take a look at the consumer surplus, producer surplus, and the dead weight loss of a price ceiling. If the price shifts from here to here, you can see now that more people want to purchase it, so the quantity demanded is here, but no, it does not mean that everyone can purchase it, since now the quantity supplied even decreased to a point at here. And this is an important point. If the quantity supplied is lower than the quantity demanded, the market quantity is going to be where the quantity supplied is at. Because simply you can't just purchase something that isn't even selling in the market. So in this case, the quantity will be determined at here. The intersection of the certain price ceilings price and the market quantity supply. In this quantity, you can now see that the producer surplus above the supply curve and below the price is this much. Not too big, isn't it? And the consumer surplus is going to be like this. But now what happens to this amount or this area of the graph? Because before this price ceiling, half of it used to be the consumer surplus and half of it used to be the producer surplus. But now no other no organization, either the consumers or producers, cannot have this additional surplus. And this is the dead weight loss, the loss that happens due to a price ceiling, because people cannot purchase as much as they used to or what they wanted to actually if there were no price ceiling. So price ceilings might benefit the consumers as a whole, since the consumer surplus might actually increase or decrease. It matters on whether the amount of the price ceiling or the price, or anyways. So it might benefit the consumers, but in the whole market, a dead weight loss happens, which means that every the sum of every interaction, every surplus of the market is going to decrease due to this dead weight loss. And dead weight loss happen because people are not purchasing and selling as much as they used to do so. I hope that was a clear explanation. The price floor is exactly the opposite. A price floor happens whenever the government thinks that this price is too low and we just sit at the price like here. And so from now on, every participant in the market cannot purchase or sell at a price lower than here. And again, for price floors to be binding, the price floor should be higher than the equilibrium price, because a price floor lower than the equilibrium price won't actually matter, because no matter where the floor is, the people are still going to purchase and sell at this equilibrium point. All right. So whenever a price floor happens, you can now see that the quantity supplied is bigger than the quantity demanded. So there is a surplus in the market. Well, where is going to be the quantity that is actually sold and purchased? Will it be the quantity supplied? No, it will be the quantity demanded. And that is very simple. You can't just sell something nobody wants to purchase. And in this price, it seems only consumers are only willing to purchase at this quantity. So no matter how much the suppliers want to sell those, they can't at this certain price floor. So the quantity of this market is going to be here. In this case, the consumer surplus is going to be this area, while the producer surplus above the supply curve but below the price is going to be this much. Then what happens to this area? Because just like we talked before in the price ceiling part, this part used to be either the consumer surplus or the producer surplus or a combination of those two or whatever, but now they are gone. Nobody can actually have this amount of additional surplus. And this is also the deadweight loss of a price floor. Price floors are actually a concept very similar to the price ceiling, just as the opposite of it. So I hope that you've understand it. Now we are going to talk about subsidies and per unit taxes. First of all, let's talk about subsidies. Whenever a government gives a subsidy to a certain market, which means that we are going to give you additional money or give you additional benefits so that you can focus on producing this better or more, the supply increases because now people can supply more or produce more with whatever they had because now they are gaining additional whatever it is, so additional capital or additional dollars or whatever from the government. So an increase in supply will likely result to a decrease in price and an increase in quantity. And per unit taxes are the opposite. Per unit taxes are simple. A taxes that is a tax which the consumers and the producers have to pay for whenever they consume or produce a unit anyways. If a per unit tax happens, the supply curve shifts to the left, but exactly does not shift the left. So contradicting, but you will understand it better after a minute or two. Now, if the government casts a per unit tax on its supplier and say that from now on you have to pay a certain amount of price whenever you sell a product, the supply curve with tax is going to shift to the left. And now this is going to be the price that consumers have to pay for. Since now suppliers aren't just simply going to sell those at the same price, since they have to pay more for producing, since producing leads to taxes. So in this case, when this used to be the equilibrium price, this is now going to be the price that the buyers or the consumers have to pay for. But does that mean that producers get this amount of this price whenever whenever a product is sold in the market? No, it isn't. Since they have to pay for the amount of the tax, the actual price that sellers get, is going to be at this point. So this is the price where the sellers get. Hard, isn't it? What you have to remember is the per unit taxes lead to a higher cost of production, which means the price should be higher in order for the suppliers to just produce as they used to, or even just produce. So in this case, the buyers have to pay for an increased price, since now they have to just share the burden of the suppliers, and that is why the price buyers pay increase, while the price sellers actually get after paying the taxes decrease. And in the same manner, this rectangular area is going to be the amount of tax revenue collected by the government. The difference between the price that buyers pay and the difference between the price which sellers get. So the price for the purchasers or consumers or buyers are at here, which means the consumer surplus is going to be this much, while the price sellers or producers get is at here, so the producer surplus is going to be at here. And now what happens to this area? So this triangle that used to be consumer and producer surplus is now gone. So this is the deadweight loss of a per unit tax. Also, it is a hard concept. I hope that you understand it. If you didn't, then feel free to add some comments about the clearer explanation. Now we are going to talk about a new concept. Who is going to pay more for the per unit tax? And here is the answer. The more inelastic side pays more tax. And we can draw a couple graphs to just actually find out if it is true or not. But it is actually simple to understand that the more inelastic side pays more tax because an increase or decrease in price will less likely affect their supply or demand, which means that um, they will still try to take part of the tax burden whenever the price increases or decreases because they still have to produce or consume at a similar quantity from before. So thank you for watching my video. This was a very difficult concept, but I hope that my video helped you understand it. If you did not, feel free to comment about this. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and yep, I am always open to comments or any suggestions to my video, how it can improve or yep, anyways. So thank you for watching, and I will come back after 2 weeks with my next video describing new concepts about AP Microeconomics, hopefully an easier one from this. Thank you for watching.